All right. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. Okay. So where did we stop last time? We stopped last time that the tortures were becoming unbearable. A lot of the poor Muslims who were not necessarily Arabs and were not supported by the tribes, they were not giving them immunity. The tribes were not giving them immunity. They were being persecuted and tortured and killed. So like about 30, 40 people had migrated to Abyssinia, okay? And then that was such a successful event because they felt safe. News came down that, okay, this is a good place for us to be. So a second migration took place where about 8 more people actually started to emigrate to Abyssinia, to Ethiopia, if you remember our conversation from last week. So far with me? Everybody aligned? Okay. Now, in the second migration, now how many people have now migrated? Maybe about over 100 people have now migrated, 150 people. They've left Mecca. How many people were there in Mecca to begin with? Maybe 1,000, right? And from 1,000, if 100 people defect and leave, is that a big, huge event or not? You think 100, 150 is a small number, but like more than 10% of the people up and fled Mecca. Is that going to hurt the reputation of the people of Mecca around? It's like, look what you're doing to your people, they're leaving. Like 10 to 15% of them have left, right? So that's a big event. So that they, in order to save face, then the pagans of Mecca, they sent people to the Negus of Abyssinia. Two people came down trying to complain. It's like, these people, you know, we want them to come back. Don't let them stay in Abyssinia. Okay, they tried to make an argument with the Negus. Again, we're doing a review, so I'm not going in a lot of detail. So they made an argument with Negus to like send these people back. And then the Negus, his name was Ashama. He was a Christian. He actually brought them to court, and there was a discussion going on. And then one thing that I will remind you, because this is beautiful. So Ja'far ibn Abi Talib, who was the cousin of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the son of Abu Talib, was the uncle of Rasulullah, right? And also Abu Talib, remember, he's protecting Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He's still alive at that time. Negus asked them, tell us why do you believe in what you believe? So he says, O king, we were plunged in the depths of ignorance and barbarism. We adored idols. We lived in unchastity. We ate the dead bodies and we spoke abominations. We disregarded every feeling of humanity and the duties of hospitality, and neighborhood were neglected. We knew no law but that of the strong. When Allah raised amongst us a man of whose birth, truthfulness, honesty, and purity we were aware, and he called to the oneness of Allah and taught us not to associate anything with him. He forbade us the worship of idols, and he enjoined us to speak the truth, to be faithful to our trust, to be merciful, and to regard the rights of the neighbors and the kith and kin. He forbade us to speak evil of women or to eat the substance of orphans. He ordered us to fly from the vices and to abstain from evil, to offer prayers, to render alms, meaning charity, and to observe fast. We have believed in him. We have accepted his teachings and his injunctions to the worship of Allah and not to associate anything with him. And we have followed what he has allowed and prohibited what he has prohibited. Okay, for this reason, our people have risen against us and have persecuted us in order to make us forsake the worship of Allah and return to the worship of idols and other abominations. They have tortured and injured us until finding no safety among them, we have come to your country and hope you will protect us from the oppression. Very, very nice, beautiful summary paragraph statement from Ja'far ibn Abi Talib that described the situation, how they were living before in complete lawlessness, right, and in abomination, how the beautiful message of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and its essence, how that attracted them, they converted to that belief, and now the persecutions began on them, and how they've come to Abyssinia to escape the persecutions. Okay. So the Negus was really impressed by this, and basically he asked them, okay, what is it that you believe? And then he recited a few ayat from Surah Maryam, talking about the virgin birth, the immaculate conception of Mary, of Maryam alayhi salam, and the miraculous birth of Isa alayhi salam. And then after that, the Negus was really impressed. He's like, oh, what you say is almost exactly like what I believe, and it's as if what you say are the rays of light that are coming from the same source. Okay, but the next day, the pagans that were there, trying to discredit the Muslims and bring them back to Mecca, they told Negus, hey, listen, did you know that they blaspheme against Jesus and Mary? And then he brought them again into the court. And then Ja'far ibn Abi Talib and other leaders, they explained that we believe in Jesus as not the God or the Son of God. We believe in him as the messenger of God. Well, lo and behold, the Christian religion that Negus followed was actually not the Christianity that we know that we know exists today. He actually was a Gnostic. He was the type of Christian who actually believed that Isa alayhi salam was actually a messenger. So he agreed. He's like, I believe in what you believe. So it's the same belief. And basically, secretly, he became a Muslim as well. And he continued to protect the Muslims in Abyssinia as long as he was alive over there. Okay, and Muslims spent a total of 12 years. Those Muslims who had migrated, about 100, 150 of them, they were in Abyssinia for 12 years. Okay, they migrated around the 5th year of Hijrah, 5th and 6th year. And they stayed there about 12 years. One thing that I would talk about, there were 2 migrations, right? Remember, I'm talking about 2 migrations. So when the first migration happened, why did the people come back? There were some people who actually came back. They wanted to come back to Mecca without anybody else's, without the mushrikeen asking them to come back. They came back on their own because something happened. Something happened that was a very, very amazing event. I won't go into, again, a lot of detail about it, but basically Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam one day was reciting Surah An-Najm in front of the Kaaba. And that surah is so beautiful and powerful that everybody who was listening to him, including the mushrikeen and the heads of the you could say the Congress or the Senate, they were all listening to Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam recite Surah An-Najm in front of the Kaaba. And that surah is so powerful. As soon as it ended and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam did ruku' and did sajda, everybody made sajda, including the disbelievers. Because the surah was so powerful, even the heads of the disbelievers, they bowed down and they did sajda. That was such an amazing event, because obviously that's amazing. Rumors spread that everybody in Mecca have converted to Islam. So that rumor went to Abyssinia, and a lot of the people, they wanted to come back. And that's why they came back and they realized, no, that's actually a rumor, that didn't actually happen. And then that's why the second migration took place. Okay. And that was that whole thing that happened, the event where everybody bowed down after reading after Rasulullah read Surah Al-Najm. That event is called the Satanic Verses. And there's a reason why that's called that. We won't get into it right now. Okay. Good. All right. By the way, one thing that just to let you know why then after everybody did sajda, and then the disbelievers are asked, like, why did you do sajda? They're like, oh, the reason we did it is because the names of the idols were mentioned in the surah, and they actually aren't the names of the idols mentioned in the surah. So they made an excuse that that's why we did sajda, because we thought Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they thought that Muhammad had converted, or he was mentioning the names of the idols. That's why we did such. Anyway, they made some excuses. All right, so the attacks on all kinds of other attacks happened on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the companions. They were beaten to a bloody pulp. Right, a lot of people, as you know, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself was ridiculed and hit, and carcasses of dead animals were thrown on him as he's doing sajda, and people were laughing around him, ridiculing him all the time. And one time Abu Jahl, he actually was hitting and beating Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hamza, the uncle of the Prophet, okay, he was about close to the age of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he was still an uncle of Rasulullah in relationship. He was a little bit older, maybe 3 to 5 years older than Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was a really, really strong, powerful man. He hardly lived in Mecca. He was always out and about. He was a hunter and used to hunt and used to spend time outside and then come back to rest in Mecca. So that's what he used to do. When he was one day coming from one of his trips, he saw Abu Jahl beating Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he basically stopped Abu Jahl and actually beat him with it. And he was a very, very strong man. And out of his zeal for, because that was his nephew being beaten by another tribe, right? By leader of another tribe. Abu Jahl was a leader of a different tribe. His love for his tribe and love for his family, love for his nephew, he got overwhelmed by that. And he said, okay, I believe in him. I believe in his message. He became a Muslim just out of his zeal. Later on, he actually did convert for the right reasons, but at the beginning of his zeal, he converted. Okay, this was such a huge event because Hamza was, again, one of the top people in the not the leader of the tribe of Banu Hashim, but he was revered. He was considered to be a very, very strong ally now that he had become a Muslim. Very shortly after, Umar radiallahu anhu, who was actually the enemy of a lot of the Muslims, and he was conducting some of the tortures of the Muslims. Umar radiallahu anhu, okay? Back when he was a non-Muslim, he was anti-Muslim. Okay, and he was part of the club of people that were actually conspiring against the Muslims. He actually was, he converted to Islam too. And you guys know the story of the conversion of Umar radiallahu anhu? See, one key lesson that you want to learn from this is you should never write anyone off. Okay, you should never write anyone off. You continue to make dua for guidance for everyone. Okay, even the worst of the people can become the best of the people. Umar radiallahu anh, who was actually harming the Muslims for the first 6 years after prophethood, he's the one who's buried next to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam today, right? Here's Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, here's Abu Bakr, and here's Umar. Okay. And Rasulullah ﷺ said this about Umar: if there was a prophet after me, he said 2 incidents. If there was a prophet after me, it would have been Zaid, which would be which was Rasulullah's adopted son, as you know, Zayd ibn Haritha. He also said about Umar radiallahu anh, if there was a prophet after me, it would be Umar. Can you believe it? So we shouldn't, as Muslims, never ever write anyone off. Doesn't matter how bad they are. You don't get to judge. You just pass the message. You continue to ask forgiveness and guidance for people, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who guides. So how did Umar radiallahu an convert? There's two stories. They might go together. They might happen at different time or the same day. But the one story we will quickly focus on is Umar radiallahu anhu's sister had secretly converted to Islam, and her husband was also a convert. And somebody told Umar radiallahu anhu one day decided that he's going to go and actually end it all and actually kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So he actually took out his sword and was marching on his way forward to kill Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And somebody stopped him on the way and told him, "It's like, why are you going killing him? Don't you know that even your own sister has become a Muslim?" And he got furious. He was very, very strong, huge man. He was a very, very strong, bulky, very, very strong man. Everybody was scared of Umar radiallahu anhu. Okay, so he barged into his sister's home, and he heard they were reading a portion of the Quran, and he heard it, and he's like, "What were you reading? Show me what you were reading." And anyway, there was a little bit of manhandling that happened, and even his sister got bloodied, right? And after she got bloodied, Umar radiallahu anh calmed down, and then he's like, "Show me what you were reading." And then she told him to go wash himself, because you can't touch the Quran, because there was a surah written on the parchment on some parchment. And Umar radiallahu anh went and washed himself, came back and read the parchment, and it was Surah Taha, very, very beautiful surah, very powerful beginning. Umar radiallahu anh read that, and right after that, Islam entered in his heart, and he went right after that barging into Darul Arqam. Remember Darul Arqam? Arqam was a guy whose house was being used, where all the secret Muslims were collecting, and actually they used to, that became the first school of Islam, right? To where Rasulullah taught them. So Hamza was there, Rasulullah was there, and here was Umar knocking on the door, and everybody was thinking that Umar is coming down to actually kill some people or kill Rasulullah. So everybody was scared, but Umar radiallahu anh, they let him in anyway, because Hamza was there, and Hamza was really strong. He's like, "Rasulullah, don't worry, I got this." Okay, so he went and opened the door, and Umar radiallahu anh came and accepted Islam. So that's how Umar radiallahu anh converted. Okay, so far so good? All right, let's break right here. We're gonna talk about the story of the boycott next time. Let's take a break, because we always leave not enough time for the hadith. We always run short of time, so let's take a break now, and we will meet in, let's say, at 12:05. Okay, it's a 10-minute break. Jazakallah khair.